Hey everybody, it's Rob coming at you from Karma Comic Chameleon. Today we're looking at another Ask Reddit thread. Pizza delivery drivers of Reddit, what was the most effed up place you've ever stopped at? Let's jump right in. I was delivering chicken, KFC, not pizza, but my worst stop was pathetic really. I knock on the door, I hear a kid yell, "I got it!" He opens the door and runs up the stairs yelling to his friends, "The chicken a-hole's here! The chicken a-hole's here!" After which a crowd of about 8 preteens at the top of the stairs start throwing change down the stairs at me to pay for the delivery. I asked if they could hand me the money, they laugh and just throw the quarters, dimes, etc. harder. So I picked up the bag of food, winged it up the stairs at them, it hit the wall, and I split. Told the boss what happened, and if they call to complain, I won't listen or apologize, I'll just quit if he brings it up. I found out later he did get a call and told them to get stuffed. Good boss. Flinging the chicken at them must have been satisfying as hell. I was outside of town on a dirt road with tall trees. Every house was basically just plywood shacks. There was broken down cars and trash everywhere. The entire neighborhood just reeked of a B-rated horror film. I find the right house and walk up to the door, but it was just a blanket, so I had to yell, "Pizza!" They come to the door and grumbled. It was a haggard-looking man wearing boxers and a dirty white tank. Something felt wrong as he handed me a bill that looked washed. I held the $100 bill with old Ben Franklin's face on it up to the light and could clearly see Abe Lincoln in the paper. They had ordered around $50 worth of pizza and wanted change. He tried convincing me that he went to the bank and they gave him that bill. I asked him why the wrong face was on there and he said that's how they do it. I said hell no and drove away as fast as I could. We stopped taking orders that don't have street roads. I worked at Domino's and we had to blacklist a guy because he was obsessed with me. He would come in and ask if I was there. If I wasn't working that day, he would just show up the next. If I was on a delivery, he'd wait around the store for me. He would tell me that he loved me and ask me out on dates. He was very bad on heroin and made it obvious. The last time I delivered to his house, he ordered about $40 worth of food and drinks and kept trying to hand me $100, even though I told him numerous times I didn't have the change. He apparently stole his grandma's cell phone and wouldn't give it back, and him and his cousin were screaming at each other the whole time I'm waiting to get the smaller bills he kept telling me he had. He had nothing smaller than $100 and he kept arguing with me because he changed his mind and just wanted one pizza and a drink, and I told him I couldn't do that. Every hoarder house I ever delivered to, honestly, I feel for those folks. There's usually a mental issue that starts it. Sometimes it's just learned behavior. Either way, it's still just sad to me. How many different hoarders' houses have you delivered to? What was it like? I delivered in a couple different college towns in Oregon. There's a lot of meth and poverty here, not unlike a lot of rural areas in America these days. Granted, this was decades ago, but there was a surprising amount actually. Not like 50, but there were a few in each town. There was always that pathway leading in, never went in, and there was almost always an animal or two as well, which always bummed me out. The smell isn't always what you'd expect, more like an old thrift store book times 1000 mixed with ass and animal excrement. That kind of smell, it takes years of direct exposure to get used to. I'd prefer living next to a paper mill again over that. One that really blew my mind was an upscale hoarder. Everything was new and still in packages, just piled from floor to ceiling. Kids' clothes, musical instruments, tools, you name it. I didn't end up delivering the pizza, but the address was an abandoned house. It was around dusk and the house was so obviously uninhabited. I could see trees growing through the windows and the backside of the house was crumbling so badly I could see to the backyard from the street. The instructions were to come around back. I double-checked the address after locking my doors, called the customer a couple times, called the store and told them what was up and why I wasn't delivering the pizza, and headed out. I mean, seriously, who would have been dumb enough to go to the back of that house? The neighborhood crack house is blacklisted from every pizza place in my city because drivers would get robbed on every delivery to that address. Calls pizza joint to get a pizza, get ready to rob the delivery driver, pizza joint sends cops instead. Funnest job I ever had, but man, the stuff I saw and went through. The most effed up delivery had to be when a woman answered with her huge, beautiful Siamese cat. I love that breed, so I ask if I can pet him. She says yes, I bend down. The cat purrs, rubs against me, all the usual signs of liking it. So I stand up to finish giving this lady her pizza. The cat lunges and bites me above my right eye and wraps all 4 limbs around my head. Panic. Freeze. What the F do I do? What the F is going on? Why isn't this lady helping me? I grab this demon cat from hell by the front legs and just rip him the F off of me. As I do, my contact lens pops off. All I can think is that it's eye skin coming off of my eyeball. I throw that effer down and just freak out at the amount of blood that starts pouring out of my gash. The woman brings me into her house and puts a towel on. I tell her she has to take me to the emergency room or call 911 as I can't see to drive myself. After all, it was her cat who attacked me. She drives me to a minor ER place. I get stitches and a tetanus shot. She foots the bill. Never see her again. Boss wasn't happy that I missed the rest of the night or had another order in my car. F that cat. Someone ordered pizzas to a funeral. There were a ton of people there, all somber and dressed in black, while I rolled up in my bright red greasy t-shirt, laugh out loud. Definitely one of the most awkward experiences I've had. You just reminded me, my husband delivered to an older woman who ended up dying during the time it took for him to get there after she placed the call, around 20 minutes. He said he showed up as they were loading her up into an ambulance, I think, and that the family was standing around watching and he didn't know what to do, so he gave it to one of the family members who paid for it and then left. Haha, this is great. So sorry for your loss. So who's paying for the pizza now? The one where they tried to pull me in the house. Not coincidentally, the last delivery I ever made. Are you dead now? Yeah, man. I once delivered to a guy living under his porch, if that counts. I drove up to the house, it's pitch black, no lights on. I look at the ticket and it says, use back door. I go up the steps and no lights on, nothing. Then I hear a voice from below me that says, hey, down here. I look under the porch and there's a small door leading into what looked like a makeshift apartment. I had to actually crouch to get to it, gave the guy the pizza and bounced the F out of there. The house I used to live in had a guy living under the front porch. Definitely not a legal suite, but hey, there's a housing shortage up here in Vancouver, so you take what you can get. He lived there for 10 years before new owners bought the house and reno-evicted all of us. I looked into his place shortly before we moved and it was super weird. Huge spider webs, very dusty. The shower and the toilet were under the stairs that led up to the main part of the house. So while I was in undergrad, I worked as a pizza delivery driver. I had a delivery to a dodgy part of town with a delicious pie. When I got within a couple miles of the residence, a local sheriff's deputy got in front of me. We made all the same turns, then as we got closer, another got in front of him, and one behind me. I started freaking out a bit, as I'd been smoking some weed, but carry on. Finally, we all get to the same residence, which is totally surrounded by police in riot gear, guns drawn, all that stuff. I get out with my pizza and discover the house I'm supposed to deliver to is the one with the SWAT out front. One of the officers waves me off and says he's not gonna need that today, and they proceed to breach the door, to which I return to the car with a free pizza and get the hell out of there. They were added to our do not deliver list, but I don't think we ever heard from them again. This gives me an image of a SWAT team bursting through a door and professionally sweeping a house with a pizza dude in tow. They flashbang a room and tackle the assailants, shouting, "Get on the ground!" While you hear in the background, "That'll be $21.50, you paying cash or card?" Either that or a hostage situation. The cops are getting ready to breach, but the FBI show up to take over the scene in classic fashion. Then a beat up old sedan rolls up, some dude from Domino's gets out and says, "Hand me the megaphone." I worked as a delivery driver for a very small Italian restaurant pizzeria during my first semester of college. This one time I delivered pizza to a swingers party. It wasn't like on the set of a porno or anything. He straight up told me when I was like having a party because he ordered 12 pizzas. He answered that this was his first swingers party and he just wanted to be sure everyone was having a good time. Not the best place to serve finger food. Once again guys, this is Rob from Karma Comic Chameleon saying thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video with your friends. We'll see you in the next video.